Universal Audio has finally ported their Ampex ATR-102 tape machine emulation to their native Spark platform. It's not a one-on-one conversion from their older UAD 2 plugin, it's actually slimmed down. Here's the older one, and it has more features, like a dedicated tape delay and this manual calibration section. Furthermore, the dials for hum, wow and crosstalk have been replaced with single on-off buttons. I reached out to Universal Audio why this was changed, and the answer is to simplify this plugin to make it more accessible for new users, and that makes sense. But current users who use these functions and are interested to use this newer UADX plugin can be disappointed and will continue to use the older UAD 2 version. For new users, I don't think it will matter that much. You will be most likely interested in the tape saturation and sound. And that goes for me as well, although I think that omitting the delay section is a bit of a shame. It would have made the Ampex ATR-102 a direct alternative to the Waves Kramer tape, which has a cool tape slapback function. The user interface has been upgraded as well. It's now nicely resizable and the fake 3D look has been changed to basically an all 2D top-down view, which I think for computer screens is the better choice. What has not been changed is the visuals for the 3.75 inches per second playback speed. The graphics have been updated, but the weird stuttering playback is the same as before, and I think this needs fixing. In the new version there are still a lot of knobs, but I found that it doesn't take long to get familiar with the interface. It works like this. The plugin is divided into left and right channels with dedicated controls for each. By default, the channels are linked, and that is the smarter choice in my opinion. You can unlink them here, and that gives the opportunity for something this plugin does not offer, more on that later. Also by default is that the input and output gain are linked with auto gain, which is almost as accurate as a level match. It works from input level 5 and up. Unlinking can be done here. This is pure for the auto gain of the channels. For overall linking, you still have to use the channel link controls. Before we go deeper in the most important part, the sound, please make sure to subscribe if you haven't already and leave a like. This video is sponsored by DistroKid, the best way to distribute your music onto popular streaming platforms like Spotify and Apple Music. The DistroKid plans start at $23 per year for unlimited uploads, and you keep 100% of the royalties you earn from your streams. Why not give it a try and see for yourself why so many artists are choosing DistroKid to distribute their music. Use the link in the description of this video to get 7% off of your first year on DistroKid. When you are on the lookout for a tape saturation plugin, the Ampex ATR-102 should be on your shortlist, simply because of the number of choices you get. For the tape sound alone, this plugin will give you 6 tape flavors, 3 tape or head sizes, a choice between sync and repro heads, and 4 tape speeds, which all have an impact on the tape sound. On top of that, you have input mode, which is just the electronics without tape, NIB and CCIR emphasis EQ, bias and EQ per channel, crosstalk, wow and flutter toggle, hiss and hum switch, and a transformer. And this all in basically an aliasing-free package. The CPU usage is about 3%-ish on my system, and the plugin has a latency of 5.1 milliseconds at 48 kHz, which is borderline okay for real-time monitoring. There are sonic differences between all these tape models, tape speeds and heads. Let me quickly show you with a 250Hz test tone, which I have phase cancelled for a big part with a clean version. The result you hear is mostly the added harmonics. The third harmonics jump out more, which matches what you would expect from tape. This is an unmusical demonstration, so here's the plugin on a full mix. The ATR-102 does gel everything nicely together, and things like tonality will differ when you, for instance, change tape types and calibration. The transformer also affects harmonics. By itself in input mode, that is with the tape section bypassed, the electronics of the Ampex are adding mostly second order harmonics. The transformer will add a third on top of that and more high pass filtering. When you enable the tape, which adds third order harmonics, you will see that with either the repro or sync head that the transformer will add more in the second order harmonics. The difference between the sync and repro head is pretty big. In general, repro sounds more hi-fi, whereas sync is beefier. Adding high-end to the repro playback gives a rounded sound, which I like a lot. Selecting different tape speeds has a huge impact on the sound as well. "15 inches per second brings out the highs the most, 30 inches per second removes harshness on these guitars and make the high end pretty smooth. When I now add more high frequencies, I get a smooth, nice high end, which sounds less harsh and is a big improvement on the mix without the Ampex plugin. When you push the input, you will get into tape saturation and compression. It's most obvious on very transient material like the drums in this mix. You can use this to bring drums more forward or backwards in the mix. There is some low-end distortion going on when you really push it, but most of all, the drums don't sound nasty at all. Besides that, the low end can be easily adjusted with the EQ controls. All of these choices will make that you have to go through the different options to find the best match for your audio. When you have a mix which is already fairly saturated and full, adding the Ampex on the master bus won't make a huge impact. It's rather subtle with normal settings. You can of course get bigger differences by changing some of the dials. now I might prefer the version without the tape plugin. The biggest positive change the ATR-102 makes is on fairly clean audio mixes. If you're after that crunchy distorted tape sound, you can do that with the Ampex ATR-102, but not without a little help. The input gain and calibration option won't get you there, you really have to crank the incoming audio. I wouldn't mind getting a bit more gain boost in the plugin itself, even if it were for boosting softer signals. Now, since you can have different settings for left and right channel with this plugin, I find it a shame that there isn't an option to switch this plugin to mid-side. Its feature set seems ideal to have that function. There is a way though to let this plugin work in mid-side, let me show you. You have to encode the stereo audio track to mid-side, run it through the ATR-102 and decode it back to regular stereo. I do that with the free MACD plugin by Vocjengo, which has mid-side encoding and decoding built in. First make sure that the ATR-102 channels are unlinked, then insert an instance of MACD before and after the plugin. Set the first to encode, the second to decode. Now you have mid-side in the Ampex plugin. Left channel will be mid, the right channel will control sides, and you can do stuff like this. You get nice stereo widening and individual control of the amount of tape saturation for mid and sides. Like I said before, if you're on the lookout for a tape saturation plugin, the Ampex ATR-102 should be on your shortlist. Even with this somewhat slimmed down version, there's a lot to adjust and tweak. And most of all, the sound is excellent.